Let's jump right into this explainer and completely reframe how we view that endlessly racing mind of yours. If you're the kind of person who constantly analyzes, worries, or loops on past events, I bet you've been told a million times to just, relax or stop thinking so much. Easier said than done, right? But the science actually tells a much more empowering story. We're diving deep into the neuroscience and evolutionary roots of overthinking today, and I promise, by the time we're done, you're going to understand your own brain in a totally new way.
Okay, we have all been here. Imagine it's 2 a.m. You're lying in bed, your body is literally drained, but your brain, it is sprinting at an absolute full-out pace. You're replaying some random awkward conversation from 5 years ago, you're stressing over next week's meetings, and suddenly you're wondering if hedgehogs can swim. You sigh, staring at the ceiling, wondering why on earth you can't just switch off. It feels exactly like having 50 browser tabs open, and they are all blasting audio at max volume.
Well, here's the absolute most crucial thing you need to hear. Your brain isn't broken, not at all. It's actually just running a really ancient program. Having a mind without an off switch is, believe it or not, proof of a highly intelligent, incredibly sensitive system doing exactly what it evolved to do. Overthinkers tend to be brilliant at pattern recognition. Your nervous system is basically operating like a state-of-the-art military radar. It just hasn't gotten the all-clear signal to power down yet.
To figure out why this happens, we've got to look back at our ancestors and what researchers call the smoke detector principle. Think about it. A smoke detector is designed to be hypersensitive. Sure, it's super annoying when it starts blaring just because you burnt a piece of toast, but that false alarm is infinitely better than missing an actual house fire. Back in the Pleistocene era, your ancestors survived because their brains were constantly running worst-case simulations to avoid predators. That hyper-vigilant radar was literally a life-saving feature, not a bug.
What's fascinating is the specific neural hardware running this whole operation. It's called the default mode network, or the DMN. You can think of it as your brain's ultimate background app. It instantly powers up the second you stop focusing on a specific task. And it's got 3 main gigs. First, it's a time travel machine, replaying the past and previewing the future. Second, it's a social radar, constantly guessing what other people are thinking so you don't get kicked out of the tribe. And third, it's an identity editor, actively stitching your memories together into the ongoing story of you.
And this brilliantly explains why overthinking leaves you feeling so physically wiped out. Get this, when your default mode network is running the show, it can chew up a staggering 60 to 80% of your brain's resting energy budget. Your brain is essentially a Ferrari with a massive V8 engine, but your foot is just jammed on the gas while the car is stuck in neutral. The engine is absolutely roaring, you're burning an insane amount of fuel, but you aren't actually moving forward an inch. Honestly, no wonder you're tired.
To get a handle on this, picture your brain as running a couple of different group chats. The DMN is the chat for your inner monologue and endless what-ifs. But you also have the Central Executive Network, or CEN. That's your task-focused, present-moment, logical problem solver. Now, your brain uses a sort of switchboard to seamlessly toggle between these two. But when you're stressed, that switchboard misfires. The DMN completely hijacks the mic, bleeding into your focus time and suddenly turning a tiny typo into a catastrophic, career-ending scenario.
This brings us to a really fascinating concept known as mismatch theory. See, your ancient survival radar is actually functioning perfectly. It's just operating in the entirely wrong era. Our modern world is totally saturated with abstract, chronic stressors. So your highly capable brain is frantically trying to process a vague email from your boss or a weird look from a coworker as if they were literal lions hiding in the tall grass. The hardware is ancient, but the software demands are modern, and that creates one massive evolutionary mismatch. But depending on how you steer it, this exact same ancient circuitry can yield incredibly different results. We actually have 2 distinct modes of mental processing going on here. First, there's brooding rumination. That's the silent killer. It's passive, hypercritical, and keeps you stuck on questions like, ugh, why did I do that? But then you have reflective rumination, which is active and completely solution-oriented. It asks, okay, what can I actually learn from this? If you dial the DMN one way, you spiral. Dial it the exact opposite way, and you foster deep empathy, sharp self-awareness, and real creative genius.
Now here is a piece of neuroscience that might just blow your mind. Why is it so impossibly hard to just stop overthinking? Well, because it creates the illusion of mental progress. Your brain actually rewards you with tiny little hits of dopamine just for analyzing a problem. Even if that problem is completely imaginary, you feel like you're accomplishing something. That chemical drive turns your overthinking into this wild, self-sustaining loop, which means you absolutely cannot just willpower your way out of it.
I absolutely love this perspective from the research. You don't need a new brain, you just need a new steering wheel. Because the default mode network completely ignores logical commands like, hey, stop thinking. And because it's actively fueled by dopamine, you literally cannot outthink overthinking. Trying to force your mind to stop is a lot like telling someone with motion sickness to just stop feeling nauseous. It doesn't work. Instead, you have to biologically change your state. You've got to sense your way out of it.
And here is exactly how you pull that off. We call this the 90-second sensory reset. The next time you feel that mental spiral starting, just pause. Drop your focus entirely into your physical body. Look around the room and name 5 specific colors you can see right now. Then identify 5 distinct sounds you hear or textures you can physically feel. It is the ultimate biological hack. Why? Because your DMN simply cannot process heavy sensory input from the present moment and catastrophize about the future at the exact same time. You are literally stealing resources away from your worry center.
Another absolute game changer is cognitive diffusion. Think of your anxious thoughts as these heavy virtual reality goggles strapped tightly to your face. Cognitive diffusion is the act of simply taking those goggles off and looking at them from the outside. By slightly tweaking your inner language, shifting from I am a failure to I am having the thought that I am a failure, you instantly create mental breathing room. That tiny little linguistic shift actually moves blood flow straight out of your emotional panic centers and right back into your logical prefrontal cortex.
Let's build this out a bit more with the Overthinker's mini toolkit. These are tiny micro-habits, sure, but they are proven neurological interventions. Try out movement snacks, like literally just 60 seconds of high knees. The touch pressure jolts your network from idle to fully engaged. Or try boundary journaling. Schedule a strict 10-minute worry window so your anxiety has an appointment and stops barging in uninvited all day. Take 3 deliberate breaths before firing off an email. And for sure, set a doom scroll curfew. Power down those screens an hour before bed so your DMN can naturally slip into its night shift mode. Finally, when that persistent negative self-talk just won't quit, hit it with the 4-step reframe loop. First, notice the story playing in your head. Second, name it. Is it an old shame, fear of rejection? Call it out. Third, neutralize it by looking at it like a scientist and asking, okay, is there actual concrete evidence for this? And fourth, navigate to one single actionable next step. Run this specific cycle often enough and you will fundamentally rewire your neural pathways to stop scripting worst-case scenarios and start actually seeking actionable clarity. The biggest takeaway here? Overthinking is not a weakness. It is just a highly capable, brilliantly intelligent engine burning fuel in the entirely wrong gear. But now, you have the actual neurological tools to shift that gear. You know exactly how to sense your way back to the present and steer your thoughts from useless brooding into powerful reflecting. So I want to leave you with this to ponder. Now that you finally have the tools to take your foot off the gas while you're in neutral, where are you going to drive that incredible mind of yours next?